Welcome to the Broncos Podcast with Troy Renck. I am your host, Troy Renck from the Denver Post. Oh, optimism is here. Unbelievable. What a home debut for Bo Nix after the cold start. We all wondered, is it real? Is it going to have some traction? And listen, we're not saying this was a Walt Disney script, but it's certainly better than the Wes Craven movie we watched around here for the last 8 years. Bo Nix, a sterling debut. We're going to get into what that looked like, what that means going forward. And later in the show, DJ Jones, the fierce nose tackle, will join me for a conversation. And then we'll take a quick look at the bubble watch players coming up in that final preseason game. But thank you for joining me on the Broncos Podcast with Troy Renck. It is brought to you by Hoggett Injury Law. Those are my guys, my sponsor. We're going to get into all this, talk about what it's like for the Broncos and their fans in Broncos country to finally have hope. Well, listen, if you have been hurt in a car wreck or injured at work, give my friends at Hoggett Injury Law a call. Their motto with us, it's personal. That's because it is. Listen, I've known Darby Hoggett forever. We traveled the country watching our boys play baseball. We talked a lot of Broncos. We became good friends. In fact, many of his clients become his good friend. You don't even have to pay Darby up front. If your case goes as planned, Darby will be the one writing checks to you. So again, if you've been hurt in a car wreck or injured at work, what are you waiting for? Give Darby's team a call. 1-833-HOGGATT. That's 1-833-HOGGET, or visit the website at hoggettlaw.com. Well, thanks again for joining me here at the Broncos Podcast with Troy Renck. As you can see, we are on YouTube. You need to subscribe. This is where we're going to be. You can always pick it up where you get your podcasts on Apple, Spotify, Spreaker, all those fun places. But we are on YouTube, our soft launch today, getting ready for the regular season, the same as your Denver Broncos. When you look at these Broncos, not much external belief in this team. 5.5 over under. But what are we seeing? What are we seeing? We're seeing the possibilities of a fun season. It may not be a winning record, but do the Broncos finally, at last, have a functional quarterback? Gee, they've only had 13 starters since Peyton Manning. Only 2 of those had a winning record, Brett Rippon and Trevor Siemian. But in Bo Nix, folks, we are finally seeing what it looks like when you identify the right coach and you draft a quarterback that fits the system. And that is the big part and what I want to talk about today on why you should be allowing yourself to just gently step onto the bandwagon. Put your seatbelt on. It's going to be a bumpy ride at times, and I understand why you're hesitant, why you're reluctant. We've seen, the young guy in Paxton Lynch fail. We saw the long shot in Trevor Siemian ultimately fail. We saw the feel-good story in Case Keenum fail miserably. We saw 2 Super Bowl champions in Joe Flacco and Russell Wilson absolutely crash and burn here. So why is this different? Well, you can peek your head up and outside the covers because this is a fit, again, between coach and quarterback. And I want to get into that. But first, we want to break it down a little bit on what we saw from Bo Nix in his home debut on Sunday night against the Packers. And before you scream at me and say, it was against the 2s. I get that. I was there. He played against the 1s the same way on Friday. The Broncos dominated the Packers on Friday. Bo Nix was a big part of that. At one point, he had 3 straight touchdowns in the red zone to Phillip Dorsett, Tim Patrick, and Michael Bandy. So it wasn't like against the 1s on Friday, he was, 8 for 19 with 2 picks, and then he goes against the backups, and all of a sudden he looks functional. That wasn't the case. It basically looked like he took Friday to Sunday. But let's set the scene here on what's going on. Because with Bo Nix, there was an unusual amount of pressure for a preseason game with him making his home debut. Because Broncos country needs this position to settle. The team needs it to settle. You cannot be a winning team in the NFL if you look in the mirror and don't like your quarterback. You just can't do it. It's not college. It's not high school. You've got to be decent at that position. And your coach and your quarterback have to be on the same page. But we saw things we like from Nix. He's unflappable. The pressure failing at Auburn and reviving his career at Oregon has taught him, when I asked him, how to have fun. Stop worrying about things you can't control. The pressure will eat you up. And it did at Auburn at times with him. He got benched multiple times. He's dealt with adversity. And you can see that in his maturity. It's not like when something goes wrong, he panics. He's been through things that have gone wrong. I mean, his career, it looked like at times when he left Auburn, is he going to even play in the NFL? Is he going to be a late round pick? The guy I saw on Sunday is the guy I saw a lot on Saturday at Oregon the last 2 years when he had like 77 touchdowns and 7 picks, 10 picks. He was unbelievably accurate, the most accurate almost we've ever seen in college football. And that's what played out. He gets to the park early. He goes through his routine. He's been through this in these big games in the SEC and then at Otson Stadium in Oregon. But what you see is a guy who's fitting what Sean Payton wants. We all know last year, Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, it didn't link. It didn't. Russell Wilson, his best attribute was to play off script, to color outside the lines. That is not the strength of a Sean Payton offense. Sean Payton considers that kind of backyard football. You love it here and there, but it cannot be the core of your offense. With Bo Nix, you see how much he appreciates his skill set, the ability to get rid of the ball quickly, the ability to keep his eyes downfield in a clean and dirty pocket. But here's what I want you to see. That first drive, he was a little antsy, Bo was, just like he was at Indy, moving around a little bit. He has a tendency to float back and not set his feet. We saw some of that. It leads to a field goal. He almost had an amazing touchdown. He was beyond the line of scrimmage, but it was close. It was close, and it ends up in a field goal. The next drive, he really gains his rhythm. And you see him, and you can see he and Sean Payton definitely on the same page. We see the athleticism, the ability to run and gets outside the pocket, the ability to stay in the pocket, hits Cortland Sutton for the big gainer to get them inside the 5, and then he finishes it with the touchdown to Tim Patrick. His first touchdown in felt like 1,000 days, but certainly 2 calendar years after missing those seasons. And what I like about it, folks, is look at the play calling and the fit. You see play action that's set up by the run. That's going to be the identity of this team. They're going to have to win at the line of scrimmage offensively and defensively, but they want the identity of this team to be physical and win at the line of scrimmage with the run. And they ran the ball better with Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin. Again, folks, I think those are the two they're really starting to lean on. And then Audric Estime, we're going to see where that kind of pans out with him. He'll be part of it. Might take a few weeks for him to get into that mix. But you establish the run, then you do play action waggle. Then you do bootlegs and naked bootlegs. And it reminded me, I saw shades of Mike Shanahan coaching Jake Plummer watching this offense. Jake's mobility to get outside the pocket, Jake's ability to move and run and get a first down with his feet. And in the case of Nix, he's more accurate than Jake Plummer, and he fits what Sean wants to do. At times, Jake Plummer did not fit exactly the West Coast offense with Shanahan, but I see some similarities. And you say, why does it matter? Well, when you're giving someone 1 read and 2 read progressions, it's like, why put me in calculus and pretend I'm Will Hunting? I'm not Will Hunting. I can't solve the equation. I don't have that. It's only a 30-foot equation on the chalkboard. I'm going to solve it. I'm not ready to solve that. Spoon feed me. How about a little algebra first? How about a little functions? How about I stair step this so I understand what the heck I'm doing before we jump in to the whole offense? And I can't tell you how arrogant football coaches get and double down that you need to fit our offense. This is what we do. No, winning coaches fit the strengths of the player and tailor their stuff to the strengths of the player. And we see that with Nix. 1 and 2 read regression. So he looks here, not there, boom, go there. We're not going through 4 reads right now. The next thing is we do a fake play action, a little dump down, get him in rhythm. He was 8 of 9 for 80 yards on purpose. This is by design, folks. And then when you need him to make a play on 3rd down, he was able to do it where you get him outside the pocket on a bootleg. But again, those are one side of the field reads. We're not scanning like the mower going all the way, the sprinkler system all the way across. We're not doing that. We're getting out there. We look for the receiver, dragging across the field. He's not open. Tuck it under and run. This is how you simplify it for a young quarterback. Spoon feed him. As he gets more comfortable, you add to the assignment. And that's what I love about this. So Bo Nix, as we sit here today, he's 23 of 30, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns, passer rating through the roof. But even on 3rd down, 6 of 8, 72 yards. That tells me a lot about who he is. No panic in his game. And when they get inside the end zone, the red zone and the short red zone, they're able to score. And last year, if you want to know what drove Sean Payton crazy, two things. Russell Wilson taking sacks. He took 3 for the Steelers the other night. And I'm not rooting against him, but he looked like a guy who's still the same guy we saw. Can't spin out anymore. Can't avoid the sack. He took 3. Bo Nix, 2 preseason games, 0. That number matters. But even more so, 30 points on 7 drives. Sean Payton evaluates, when you take all the numbers in the analytics, he looks at points produced, sacks allowed. Because he thinks a lot of the sacks on the quarterback go directly back to the quarterback, not the offensive line. So we're just starting to see now. There's a lot. The hype train is real right now on Bo Nix. I'm saying pump the brakes a little bit on that. But what I'm saying is, with the fit between the coach and the quarterback, we can see how this works. This is what it looks like, folks, when you rebuild correctly. You identify the right coach. And I've said this. Payton, a lot of people don't like Payton because of the arrogance. He's prickly. He's annoying. I get all that. I'm in the pressers. But I respect his football knowledge. This is a good football coach. You realize he's going for his 17th straight year of winning at least 7 games. He's not seeing this as rebuilding. He's put together a coaching staff that's created accountability. He's created a culture there that demands and pays attention to the details. And so they're heading in the right direction. But this is what it looks like. You identify the right coach. You identify the right quarterback. The fact that he's young helps, certainly with the cap hit you take from Wilson. But this is how you move forward. I'm not saying they're the Houston Texans of 2024. That's not fair to Bo Nix. C.J. Stroud was different because his ability to go to push the ball downfield like a young quarterback we haven't seen in a long, long time. But if Bo Nix is 3,200 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 picks, and they finish with 6 or 7 wins, you're telling me you won't feel good about that? You should. You should. Because now you have the stair step of where this thing is going. Instead of 1 step up, right back to the basement. 2 steps up, back to the basement. Now we're seeing how this could work. A young, hungry, dangerous team with a quarterback who symbolizes that. So that's where the hope should come from. The performance alone is good. It comes with context. It's preseason. Bo Nix is not going to be perfect, folks. There's going to be moments you can't unsee that remind you of Bo Nix at Auburn. That's part of it. But Sean Payton is so desperate and motivated to make this work. His entire legacy here in Denver hinges on this pick. And you can see that in how he's designing plays. So at some point in the next few days, we fully expect Bo Nix to be named the starter. Whether that's Wednesday, whether that's Thursday, whether that's Friday. I do not expect him to play in the final preseason game. You could say, Troy needs reps. The problem is when you play your starting quarterback, you got to play your starting offensive line. They typically don't want to risk injury to an offensive line. And if you saw their offensive line and their backups on Friday, you don't want any of their starting offensive linemen to be hurt. Trust me. Their depth is scary and lack thereof. But the takeaway for me with Nix is not only has he shown the poise and the maturity to handle the pressure of being a Broncos quarterback, but he and Sean Payton, there's a synchronicity here. Payton is motivated to make this work, and Nix understands what he's being asked to do, and there's a clear path forward for the Broncos offensively to finally not suck for long stretches. And that's a good sign, Broncos fans, a good sign. So Bo Nix, he puts it down. I think it's going to end up with them keeping 3 quarterbacks with Stidham as the backup, Zach Wilson as the 3. I don't think they finish the season with 3 quarterbacks, but I think they start there. But the story is Bo Nix. He has been unbelievable. But so let's go. What else is going on, Troy? Well, I had a chance to catch up. They do play defense, and they're playing great defense. It's getting lost in all the Bo Nix hype, which, again, is understandable. But they're playing great defense right now. They're better against the run. They're showing much more of an attacking style. A big part of that is DJ Jones, and he is going to join me after the break. Never a bad time to enhance your home, maybe create it more comfortable, maybe consider selling it and you want it to just look nicer. Glass doors can certainly add a nice touch. That's where my man, Jamie Haig, comes in. He and his wife, Lisa, run RBJ Glass. It's a family business. They pride themselves on customer service, honesty and integrity. I've coached hoops with Jamie back in the day. I know him. He's a man of character and principle. It shows in the business. RBJ Glass installs European shower enclosures, standard shower glass. They do mirrors, window and glass replacement, insulated doggy doors, office cubicles, and small commercial storefronts. They have competitive prices and offer discounts to veterans, senior citizens, and have even accommodated single parents. So what are you waiting for? Give my friend Jamie of RBJ Glass a call. That's Jamie at 720-883-3144. 720-883-3144, or email Jamie at rbjglass2017@gmail.com.
On and off the field, he's a great player, great guy, and he'll be the same guy every day. So yeah, I think every team needs that because everybody's not like that. Everybody's not going to be the same every day.
Right. He said Coach said it's contagious with him.
Very much so.
He just has a good day, a lot of good days.
You can't have a bad day around him.
Really?
No.
Is he funny?
He's hilarious. Yeah. He's hilarious.
He said, too, that I said, what makes a good run defense? He said, some of it's fit, some of it's will, right? Like, you got to want to. Are you sensing that with this group?
Yeah, for sure. No, a lot. He's right. A lot of it is want to, or I get to.
Right.
I get to do this. I get to take on a double team, which is not the easiest thing in football. So, just going out there and knowing that what you're doing is helping the team, like a double team. So, yeah, he's right.
Coach was saying that, or not Coach, but when you signed, I know because you're coming from the Niners, you want to win. How important is it for you to be part of the group that turns this thing around?
I think that's at the top of my list. Haven't really won here since 15.
Yeah.
We made our run last year.
Right.
But we got to start like that. If we start like that, I think we can finish that way.
Really?
But I think it's big for me to turn it around before my end of my tenure here.
Right.
Yeah.
When you obviously each guy takes their job seriously and you put a lot of it on yourself, but given the additions, Malcolm, JFM, Angelo, that you've made to the defensive line, like how much does that help and allow you and Zach to play in a more optimal way than what it was last year?
It helps a lot. It helps a lot. No disrespect to the guys that we had, but along with the scheme, attack, and the guys that we brought in, it's a big difference. It's a big difference, man. As you can see, if you just watch practice, you can see there's a difference. So
you've been dominating.
Man, I'm getting shades of San Fran here. So I feel great about the scheme. I feel great about the players. I love who we brought in. I can't complain at all. Can't complain at all about our room.
How much, especially given the changes that you're talking. People have talked a lot about silver tax now, and I'm curious, like from Vance's standpoint, like that is not nothing, right? For a coordinator, the changes you made during the season last year to sort of adjust in an off season to say, okay, this is the way, even if it's truer to where he's been, sort of to say, okay, here I really believe that this is the way we can get the most out of the guys that we have.
Yeah, and you saw that in that streak that was it 5 games?
Yeah, 5-game win streak.
I think he's riding the same wave that we were on then. Just in adding attack, which is scary. You add an attack D-line and anything is possible. Because look at Zach Allen. His get off, I haven't seen a get off like that from a 3 technique from anybody. So just allowing us to take our seatbelt off and go it'll change this entire defense.
Yeah, that was the mindset during that streak, you had 16 takeaways too.
Yes, turnovers will come with attack too.
Do you believe that?
Heck yeah. I mean, like if I'm standing here right now and I was to just jump on you, you drop your phone.
Yeah, I would.
Fumble. You dropping your phone. So, I mean, attack is everything to me. That's what I was in San Fran. That's what got me paid. So I think it'll change a lot of people's lives here.
You talked about not thinking about the contract that you've been down that road before. I'm curious, like you talked about your daughter too. Like, how much perspective do you feel like you have now, like 8 years in, compared to your first couple years in the league?
I'm not gonna say I'm perfect at all. Nobody is, but I mean I've got 8 years of knowledge and just like I said, peeking on Zach's paper, but that's just in life, period. That's just in life, period. Like being around him, he's the most humble. He could be the most cockiest person in the world, but he's humble. I mean, that teaches, that goes a long way. But just my 8 years, like I said, the first time my contract year was coming around, that's all I was thinking about. Oh, my contract year, I'm out of here, no, but that's not what it's about. I mean, you got to stick to the details and your teammates and the team. So that's what I plan on doing until I'm done. So.
Do you plan on playing for a lot longer? Do you think about it?
Say again?
Do you plan on playing for a lot longer? Do you think about it?
I think I got 32 years old in me. I got 32, 33.
What do you love about it?
Football?
Yeah.
I like seeing guys' necks snap back. It's something about it. Like me putting my hands on somebody in their head and their head just snap back. Like I displace them. Like hear the air go out of their body legally.
Right.
Yeah, so I just like putting my hands on people.
It's hard to do that outside as a civilian.
Yeah, I'm a great guy outside.
How's Dad doing? He's still cooking?
Yeah, he's still cooking. He's catering now. He's got a couple NFL teams.
Which ones now?
He's Atlanta Jets.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's got some contacts there, so he's cooking for those guys. He got out of the restaurant business.
You still in the barbecue sauce still?
Oh yeah, he still got his sauce. But yeah, just stepping away from the restaurant. Overhead is crazy. But,
yeah.
Welcome back to the Broncos Pod with Troy Renck. I am your host, Troy Renck from Denver Post. Hopefully you enjoyed that. DJ Jones is one of my favorite guys to interview. Unfortunately, as he's dealt with injuries and the team's losing, he hasn't been as available because, again, you're in the trainer's room, you're getting treatment, all that. He's just such a delight to talk to. As you see there, he has a joy for football. This is a guy, you see him, he looks like a big teddy bear, and he has a violent streak that when you watch him stop the run, he has a unique skill set, a Liam Neeson skill set. He's going to show you how he can stop the run. And you can pair him now with Malcolm Roach and Zach Allen and John Franklin Myers. We should see the best of DJ Jones this year, and they need it. I mean, last year during the 5-game win streak, they had the 16 takeaways, but through the course of the year, they still stunk against the run. They were right around dead last for the most of the season, 130 yards plus. That can't be the case. If this team's going to get to where they want to go, which is minimum, for them, it's minimum 7 wins, but they want a winning season. You got to slow the run. You got to be able to run the ball. And DJ Jones is a huge part of that, folks. He is a guy who's a force in the middle. And if you can play this attack style that puts teams in 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10 consistently, now you're going to see the best of Patrick Surtain taking more chances, getting more picks. We're going to see a team that can take teams away, but you can't do that if they're constantly in 2nd and 3 and 3rd and 1. So the importance and the onus on this defensive line is enormous, and DJ Jones is a huge part of that. This is a guy who's ready, as he talked about, to turn the corner for this, to help this team turn the corner. They haven't had a winning season, as you all know, folks, since 2016. That's 8 years without the playoffs. That's the 2nd longest active streak to the New York Jets. They haven't had a winning season in 7 years. So this team's motivated. But if they're going to win, they got to be tough and smart, and they got to win at the line of scrimmage. And DJ Jones, someone to keep an eye on. He will be part of it. And as we finish up the show, it is that tough time of year, final preseason game, and people make light of the 3rd preseason game. Nobody plays, and I don't know any of these names. Well, the hard part of this weekend, when guys don't make the team, the dream ends. When I covered baseball for 15 years, you go to the minor leagues when you get cut. Your career isn't over. The ending in the NFL is so abrupt. You've been playing your entire college, your whole life, Pop Warner, high school, college, and you get to a training camp. You've made it. Maybe you're an undrafted free agent or a late round pick, and then the cuts come, and all of a sudden it's over. Now, again, they will have 16 on the practice squad, and probably 14 of those, 13 to 14, will be guys who were in camp. So it's not completely over. The paycheck's way different, obviously, than a practice squad player, than someone on the everyday roster. But the dream starts to end for guys this week. You're talking about almost 1,300 players who hit the waiver wire at once. Because remember, they don't stagger the cuts anymore. It used to be they cut from 75, it's from 90 to 75 to 53. There's no more. It's just all one day, August 27th, I believe, if I have my date right. And that's why when everyone's like, oh, this guy's going to get claimed and this guy's going to get claimed. Very few people get claimed, because if you claim a player, he has to go directly onto your 53-man roster. And that's tough, given the gymnastics you're doing at the end of training camp. But when you look at players that get claimed,
usually cornerbacks and offensive linemen, because every team needs cornerbacks and offensive linemen. It's like pitchers in baseball. So if you do see the Broncos make a claim, it wouldn't shock me if they try to find a backup tackle, because that position is, for me, a concern right now. But that's what you have to look at. So who are some of the guys on the bubble? Again, people ask me about Troy Franklin because he has not had a good camp. He's a 4th-round pick, folks. He's not getting cut. He's not getting cut. Again, I think their vision for him is to be an impact player in year 2 and then certainly in year 3. Like a lot of college receivers, he struggled with the transition of the NFL playbook, the complexities of it, and knowing the X, Y, and Z position, not just one position. But he's not going to get cut. But when you look at guys on the bubble for the Broncos, the biggest name for me that fans will recognize is Samaje Perine. Perine, with Javonte Williams losing the 10 pounds and showing burst, and has shown the ability to be a 3-down back, and they love Audric Estime's potential, you really can't have Perine. You can't have 3 of the same guy, because Michael Burton's making the team as a fullback. Sean Payton loves Michael Burton, so he's making it. They're not going to roll a tight end into the fullback position and say, oh, just go block. Burton is making the team. So Samaje Perine is certainly a guy to keep an eye on. Then you go over to that receiver room. You're talking about guys who contributed last year that are in danger of not making it. That would include Brandon Johnson, who had 3 touchdowns last year. I love Brandon. I covered his father, Charles Johnson, with the Rockies back in the day. He's facing a numbers crunch right now. And then you look at Lil Jordan Humphrey, who had some of the best moments as a receiver for anyone on the team last year. Not necessarily games. He did a 52-yard touchdown in one game. He's a guy that I could see going, certainly he and Brandon both going to the practice squad. And Sean Payton showed last year how you can manipulate the practice squad, and you call a guy up from the practice squad, and suddenly he's your 3rd receiver or your 2nd receiver in the case of Lil Jordan Humphrey. So I think those 2 are in trouble. These are more the names you got to keep an eye on in terms of Samaje Perine, Brandon Johnson, and Lil Jordan Humphrey as guys who certainly contributed last year that are now on the bubble. And keep an eye at outside linebacker. Thomas Incoom made huge strides last year, but he's in a race to make the roster. Is he going to do enough in that final preseason game to make it? I don't know. But those are some of the names on the bubble watch that will catch your attention. I think, again, for me, the biggest name right now, and they like Perine, I just don't see how he makes it with the way the numbers are. And I do think, getting back to receiver, that Devon Vele does from Utah. He's earned the right to make it. But would I be shocked if he doesn't and Lil Jordan Humphrey does? I wouldn't, because of the way Sean Payton manipulates the practice squad with receivers. But Samaje Perine, Brandon Johnson, and Lil Jordan Humphrey, those are names you would recognize to keep an eye on the bubble. Folks, this has been our YouTube soft launch debut. Anilio has been behind the scenes on the board making this happen. We're getting through it. There's a little hiccup here and there. It's all part of our process. This will be where you'll find me during the season. I need you to subscribe. We're going to have fun with this. The whole idea is to expand the audience to Broncos country. I cannot thank you enough for the support, the way this pod has grown. Basically, considering how bad the team has been during the time I've launched the pod, you guys are always there for me. And I could not do this pod without Mile High Sports and Nate Lundy. He's been there. Again, Darby Hoggett of Hoggett Injury Law, my A1 from day one. And, of course, RBJ Glass with Jamie Haig and his wife, Lisa. They are fantastic. So, folks, I tell you this all the time. Happiness, that begins with me. Go out there and have a great day.